Hello, in this Visual Basic tutorial I am going to show you exception handling. So exception handling is a great way of making sure your application doesn't crash. So if you know something or an event may occur that could potentially crash the application, like some sort of mathematical problem, which that's the example I'm going to cover. It could be something else, maybe loading in a file and that file is unable to load. Instead of it just crashing, which is not a good user experience, you need a way to handle this, and that's exceptions. So if I were to do, so if I create two variables, and I do, let's just hard code it in. I should just be able to do 5 divided by 0. So let's just create variables. So if I do dim num1 as integer, and I'm going to copy and paste this, do num2 as integer, then I'm going to do num1 equals 5, num2 equals 0. If I do num1 divided by num2, let's see what we get. What's this? We'll just assign it to some value. So if I do dim, val as integer, val like so, there we go. And if I run it, as you can see, unhandled exception. Let me just show you something else. So if I do console.writeLine, doesn't matter what you actually do afterwards. So I put hello. As you can see, hello is not printed out because the application has basically crashed at this point. So we want a way of handling that. And that's where exception handling comes in through the use of try catch blocks. So to do that, you just put the keyword try, click enter, and we got try catch, ex as some exception. And in here, we can put this line of code now. And in here, if I do console.writeLine, I'm going to say naughty, division by 0, not allowed. And now if I run it, as you can see, it says naughty, division by 0, not allowed, but the rest of the application still ran. Because there was a problem here, it prevented it from, crashing. If I just change this to, 1, for example, and I run it, as you can see, writeLine is no longer called in the catch block. So the catch merely, catches any exception that's happening. So you can think of it like you're playing in the park, you're throwing a ball around, and if that ball pops, the catch is there just to catch it and make sure you still have a good time. So that's pretty cool. You can make the exception a bit more, specific. Like, so for this one, we divide by 0 exception. Then you could actually print out ex. And I recommend that as an extra task that you do that just to see what you get. This, for us will still be the same. And there we go. So we get ex, and it's an arithmetic operation resulted in an overflow, like so. So I'm just going to change it back to regular exception. One last thing I want to show you. Maybe you want to always run some sort of code regardless of whether or not this fails. You can do that by doing finally. In here, if I do console.writeLine, again, you can do whatever piece of code in here you want. You could call another function. You can go crazy. So I'm going to say finally block. Now if I run it, finally block is printed out. So it tried it, it failed, and then the finally block got printed out. Let's say if I change this to 1, the finally block is still printed out. So as you can see, the code in the finally section is always printed out regardless of whether or not an exception is thrown. So that's it for handling exceptions. There are a few more, sort of nuances to it, but as long as you understand this, you'll be all good to go. I will provide a link with this video where you can see all of the different facets that exception handling provides. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.